colors very well. And as you can see, look how pinpoint everything is in there. That's truly remarkable. This is only 5-second exposure. It's not dark yet. It's still blue sky over here. We got thin clouds going by and big clouds, both of them. And this is just amazing. I would say about f4.5, give or take. Jack, I didn't use any spacers on there, so I'm going to estimate it about f4. If it's a 0.5, it's about f4. So it's an 8-inch nonetheless. And we need to have a decent reduction. The camera is not sitting flat in the focuser at the moment. I have to pull the camera out quite a lot for it to focus. That means I would have to put a ring on the focuser between the optical tube and the focuser to get the proper focus, and I didn't do that, so it doesn't really matter at the moment. What we want to show you is how clean this sensor is. And if you look at the bottom right, we do detect a very faint fuzzy at about 5 o'clock position, 4 or 5 o'clock position. That is NGC 6207. And you see the texture in the background changing. These are clouds going by, folks. It's quite cloudy here tonight. The weatherman was off in his prediction. But that's okay. We're going to compensate with it and try our best. And you can see the low noise that we're having into the camera is electronic. We're obviously designed for this and for that specific chip. It's not just a standard. It's not just a standard circuitry in there like others are doing with those 16 megapixel. There's a lot of planning went into designing this camera, and I've known about those sensors since late 2013. This is the difference between a Bayer and a plate, a diffraction, as they call, based on the article that I posted on the MallinCam Yahoo group. And you get to see the difference. You still have the sensitivity of a black and white sensor. You're only losing 1.83% of light. 1.83% of light grasping compared to about 50, 60, and 70% loss when you go with an RGB or a Bayer filter. So the difference is huge. And of course, the electronics are extremely well balanced, just like the DS 2.3 Plus light. And this camera is not cool. It doesn't require a Peltier cooler. There's no room to put a Peltier cooler because the sensor is mounted on the surface of the board. Instead of having side pins like a normal CCD, because it is a CMOS, there's no cooling. You can't cool those sensors. The only way to cool those out is to use convex cooling. That means a Peltier cooler sits in the chamber and cools the chamber off. This is like a refrigerator at home. It operates at -8 below zero, but yet the inside of the fridge runs at about 32 or 34, 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And you don't have a direct contact with the food. Well, it's the same thing. Those who claim that they have a cooler, a Peltier cooler, all they do is they cool the air around the sensor. This method of cooling is absolutely useless. In an astronomical camera, you don't want to do that. This is the worst way to cool a sensor because the sensor does not get cooled. Although the Peltier may go down to 45, -45, the chamber itself may go down maybe another 3, 4 degrees below ambient because you don't have a direct connection. There's no cold fingers. It's impossible to put a cold finger on a CMOS because they're rear mounted, they're board mounted. There's no legs, these are dots. There are 198 dots on there that actually is soldered directly on the board. There's absolutely no room to cool that. So any other company that will tell you that they've got Peltier cool, it's called convex cooling. That means cold air circulate around in the CCD chamber. That's it. This is not real cooling. Convection. Convection cooling. Correct there, Jack. Thank you for correcting me. Just swallowed a mosquito here. Anyways, you're absolutely right. It's convection cooling is absolutely as useless as nipples on a bowl. Totally. You don't need it. If you got the proper electronics and the camera to match it well, this is the result you're going to get at the moment. We're still running at 5-second exposure. There's no dark frame. There's no nothing. This is a single frame. There's no stacking involved. I hate to see what it's stacking, what it's going to do. But the question is, do we really need the stacking? Well, let's give it a try. I'm going to pump up 3 stackings of 5 seconds. And honestly, I don't think so we need it. I really don't think so we need it. So let's wait and see what's going to happen. This is full frame at 4,640 by 3,506. There's not a hiccup. There is nothing. It's running smoothly and efficiently. And as I explained on the MallinCam Yahoo group today, that's because of all the memories in it and additional electronics that's proper. There you go. Here goes the stacking. This is 2 stacking. And as you can see, we are viewing through clouds at the moment. These are clouds what you're looking at the moment. So it's not nice. Here's 3 frames that are stacked on 5 seconds each. We do not need it. And you can actually see at the bottom a little bit the NGC6207. So this is a single frame here as we're looking at. And, well, stacking will remove noise only if you use averaged. Additive stacking is not necessarily going to remove that. What you need to do if you're going to use additive stacking, you need to lower the gamma, you need to lower the histogram, you need to readjust everything to neutral, and you can't use the gain. The gain's got to be turned down. And any other manufacturer that use similar sensors or so-called similar sensor, which are not, they don't offer any gain at all. Many cameras out there don't offer gain whatsoever because we're using low noise electronics, and the electronics are properly done in the camera. That's why they cost more. You pretty well get what you paid for. You get to use the gain, and as you can see on top here, I got the gain full blast at 20. It can't go any higher than that. It's 20 times the gain of the single sensor by itself without any exposure. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop that. We're going to pump that up to 5 seconds. Let's go up to 10 seconds through clouds because we're still having thin clouds going by. Actually, we're looking right through thin clouds at the moment. So let's do it 10 seconds instead of 5, a single shot. And let's verify what we're going to get here. Gotta make sure. Here's a single 10 seconds. And you could see NGC6207 lower right, all in the same field of view. Using a large chip like that, this is unheard of, folks. This is completely unheard of. And we're looking through clouds at the moment. Actually, it's 10.5 seconds. Sorry. Another mosquito entered down my throat, or my eye, should I say. Yeah, I've got a slow update because I'm not running the high-speed internet. I'm running the slow speed internet. I have no choice. It's DSL, and it's extremely, extremely slow. This is a single 10 seconds. Well, at least the audio is on time, but the image is not. We're running at the highest resolution possible, folks. If you look on the lower left, upper left, resolution is set at 4,640 by 3,506. Once again, this is unheard. Anybody that says you cannot do EAA with a 16 megapixels, a good megapixel, a good 16 megapixel. I have only one answer for them. They do not know what they're talking about, or they're not using the right camera. It's either one or possibly could be two. And whatever camera they're using, I think they should take it and throw it in the Hudson River. That would be a good idea. Along with many other cameras in there. But anyways, that's beside the point. Here, we're going to show you guys what we could do here with the moon. The charming moon is out right now. I'm not using any filters. I'm not using anything. No gimmickry, no nothing. This is plug, adjust, and go. And of course, you only got one cable going on this because it's USB 3. You've got at least 1 amp supplying. Oh man, hang on a sec, folks. My device just fell off here. I hope it's gonna hold. I got 5 USB connections. They're plugged into a bridge here, and it fell off. So I hope the camera won't disconnect. But anyways, no big deal. Well, you know, Jack and Connie and everybody else, I mean, it's tits for tats, you know. Being all serious, though, just, you know, I hear about, I just got a few emails today saying about some folks are using 16 megapixel camera and it's no good for EAA, electronically assisted astronomy. Well, as I said, there's only 2 possibilities here. They do not know what they're talking about, or they're using the wrong camera. Plain and simple. There's no other excuses. There's no other explanation for it. And as I mentioned to many of you, we've been working on this thing here for a long time. And the Panasonic sensor, there's 2 types of them. They are not easy to work with, but the potential for those sensors is immense. And the result here tonight speaks for itself. But we started at 2 seconds, we went up to 5-second exposure, now we're 10-second exposure. And my goodness, we're looking at NGC 6207, lower right, all in the same field of view. Now, the wider field of view you have, now you're going to ask, okay, what's the benefit to use a large sensor? Well, a large sensor is going to give you a much wider field of view. This is very desirable to many people. I personally don't want to go for those, but a large sensor will be good on a large scope because the object's going to be well framed. You won't get massive amount of magnification and you won't get too much of a wide field. You'll be just right. If you use it on a smaller scope, like on an 8-inch, for example, you have the luxury to use a focal reducer, a 2-inch, the one that we use on the MallinCam Universe. You screw it on, like I've done it, what I've done here tonight, and using on an 8-inch, you're getting some spectacular wide field of view, and you still retain pinpoint star in M13 and all of the surrounding star. That's the beauty of it. Now, what impresses me here, once again, I'm going to have to cover that again. You are getting to see NGC 6207 in the same field of view. A galaxy is very difficult to detect at short exposure. You need to go very long exposure, and you're going to go long exposure, you're going to get noise, you're going to get all kinds of stuff. This sensor, I have documentation that actually claims that it's the most lowest noise CMOS large sensor ever made by any companies. And this is why I picked on this guy. But it was not easy to get it going. The amount of money involved and research to get the sensor to do what it was designed to do was not an easy task. But once we've got it, what you're looking at is what you were going to get. It's very easy to adjust. So let me show you on the side. We've got here running at 10 seconds, 10.5 to be accurate. And if you go to the color adjustments, if you look at the gamma, it's down to 0.85. Hopefully you get to see that, and hopefully there's not much delay. And I turn down the saturation a little bit. Okay, so we're going to close that window and go to the histogram. You turn up the histogram, which is very stable, by the way, and here you have is 0, and you also got it about 78. Once you do that, you could use very short exposure, low noise, and one of the reasons you don't get the noise is simply because the sensor is low noise. Components associated with the sensor are also high grade. You got to use that because a solid state creates noise, creates statics, it's create noise, it's going to create RF leaks from the digital noise. You need to use some component that got to be top quality and match the quality of the sensor. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand. They look at the price, oh, look at the red camera, it's cheap. Oh, it's got a 16 megapixel. Okay, let's buy this. Next thing you know, 4 or 5 of them end up in the Hudson River again. Holy Moses, give me a break. Once again, they didn't read or did research or know about such a camera. It's just simply not designed well. It's designed to make money. And unfortunately, they sold quite a lot of them, and they all end up in the Hudson River. Such a shame of a waste of material. But anyways, it is what it is. What I'm trying to say is very simple. You do your research, you do the designing properly, you implement them. If they don't work, you start over again. You figure out what was going on. What is going on in the circuitry? How come it doesn't perform well? How come it doesn't do what the sensor can actually do according to the engineer's paper on that sensor? Well, it needs hard work. It needs to invest a lot of money to get a redesign right. And this is exactly what you're looking at. Once this is done, the manufacturing of these is very simple to do, simple to assemble, and the quality in electronics speak for itself. Once again, we don't have the dark field correction engaged. We don't have any other adjustment other than the gamma and the histogram. The brightness set at 0, the contrast set at 0, the hue set at 0 because the colors are well balanced. We don't need to touch those. The gain on the sensor is all the way up at 20 if you look on top. If you go higher exposure, you're going to get a little bit of band glow at the bottom, but this is very easily removed. And I do mean easily removed using the dark frame correction. And that's what it's there for. It's to remove noise that a Peltier cooler would normally, and it goes beyond that actually. It goes way beyond what a Peltier could do. Peltier normally will remove thermal noise, which means dark current noise is going to be reduced. That's the primary job of a Peltier. Number 2, it's to lower the brightness or intensity of the hot pixels. Number 3, it's to lower or eliminate the warm pixels. There's nothing you could do about the rest of the noise. There's nothing you could do about amp glow. However, when you do a dark field correction, that will take care of everything, and I do mean everything. Dark current noise, hot pixels, warm pixels, amp glow, the works. You don't need a Peltier cooler. You don't need a second or third connection behind the camera that draws 2.5 amp of convection cooling. I've never heard of this. Is unbelievable. I might as well buy a refrigerator and stick the camera in there for 15 minutes and take it out and use it for another 15 minutes. This is what convection cooling is, and this is what others are offering as a selling point only. But before we release anything, before we let go anything, we make sure that everything works accordingly to the specification of the sensor. In this case, this Panasonic sensor does not use a Bayer matrix on this one. It uses an actual plate. And what it does, it splits the light in 3 different forms. You read up about it a little bit more on the MallinCam Yahoo group. I posted that today with the links about this technology that was developed in late 2013 early 2014 that we're talking about it, and it finally became available late 2014, 2015, and we only got a handful of those sensors to be able to assemble a camera where we get to do tests with it. After we redesigned the electronics, I don't know how many times. That's correct. And not only that, because you don't use a Bayer filter, you lose 50, 60, and 70% of the sensitivity. Think about this for a minute. That's why people say, well, black and white is a lot better because it's more sensitive. Okay. Yeah, because there's no filters on it. Well, here's what they did. It's called a plate, a glass plate. And that will split basically into three colors. It's just like using a prism, basically. This is what it's doing. And the only loss you have is the refraction of the colors. That means 1.83% light loss only. 1.83%. If you don't clean your mirror on your darn telescope, you're going to lose 5%. So it's less than having dust on your mirror. Think about this for a minute. This is how good this technology is, and it's the latest. And folks, there's not one person, there's not one company that uses this system. Not one. Before we released any material, any cameras, any devices, we make sure that we go through it, we make sure it's designed right, we make sure that it's going to last you guys a long, long time. We make sure it's going to outperform anything out there, and it will continue to outperform. At this point, what we're having is companies going to have not to follow us or try to follow us or to copy what we're doing. What I'm wondering is at what cost? What are you getting for the money? Our main concern at MallinCam, my own main concern, is to get a product out there that people will be enjoying for a long time the same way I enjoy my own equipment. And this is what I do. Alistair, if you have a chance, go on the MallinCam Yahoo group. Somebody could be kind enough to go post a link and go join on there and simply go read the article. There's an article on there about this new technology that nobody knows about because they don't do the research, they don't do their homework, they don't do what needs to be done to come up with a product that is truly far superior than anybody else. They don't. Now, once again, this is only a 10-second exposure from a large chip. Using pixels of 3.8 by 3.8 micron is unspeakable. It's too small to do deep sky. Therefore, you need to do long guided exposure. With this technology, you do not need to do so. And here's the proof tonight. M13 is quite bright. We all know it's big and bright. But take a look at NGC 6207 lower right. This is a galaxy that actually see quite well. Thank you, Connie. You go on there and join on there, Alistair. Go read the article. I did not write the link that I put on there. This is something that I knew since 2013. In fact, some of it is dated from 2013. And when it became reality with this new technology, it was in 2014. And this article is from that. It's only 2 years ago. This is stuff you never heard. And of course, folks, folks, you will never hear about this technology on Cloudy Nuts. You will never, ever hear about this on Cloudy Nuts EAA site. Absolutely not. They're still scratching their head what's going on. They're too busy bashing and lowering products and whatever else because they simply don't know what they're talking about. It's just plain and simple. The technology's there. Here it is tonight, live on Night Skies Network Live.ca. You're seeing it yourself live. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to increase. We can always use the zoom here, Jack. Your idea is very good. So what we're going to do is, I don't know if the focus is bang on or not. Go look at the article, Alistair